What's up, everybody? I'm here playing No Heroes Allowed. I'm doing the recording, my voiceover in post. That's just how I have to do it from the PS4. But I basically did training for most of this. But it's one of those keep the hero out of the dungeon games, and it's got some interesting elements to it for sure. Some things definitely toss me up more than others. Um, some things were not explained right off the bat, and they kind of should have been. Mostly pertaining to the water and stuff like that. Because you gotta kind of move the water around weird. But anyway, this is like the very beginning. He's kind of teaching you how to basically. He's the bad guy, and he's telling you how to dig the dungeon and how the mechanics work. But basically, it's a whole, you know, guys try to come into the dungeon and you stop them because you're the DM kind of game. But kind of interesting, weird way that it works. But like the soil has nutrients, the water has nutrients, and over time that basically builds in the soil and that makes a stronger monster. But that comes up a little bit later. But so right here he just kind of shows us how to use the pickaxe. And I failed the first time because they like straight just came in and got him. And there was some things that I wasn't 100% understanding. But, so those blocks that are green that you're seeing, he'll explain it later, but basically those have nutrients in it, and those are the ones you want to break to prevent the hero getting to them. I didn't understand this at first, and they kind of just throw you into it by saying, oh, just break the blocks, but they don't really go into detail. I feel like this whole episode that I did of this and the training should have been like compiled into one thing and just like straight all the way through, and all the information was given at once and not so much in this manner of doing it like a tutorial. But I think I'm just saying that essentially I wish it had explained the concepts all at once instead of breaking them apart. And when it comes to the water, there's like this one part where you gotta take the nutrients down to the dungeon to resurrect fossils, and they don't explicitly tell you in that mission that there's two types of water. There's stagnated water and there's like what they call holy water. And the holy water you don't want to mix with the stagnant water because it cleans it. And it doesn't really make monsters if the blessed water hits them, so you want to just focus on using the stagnant water, but they didn't really make that very clear at first. And that really threw me off as a whole. But yeah, so I'll come back in a couple of minutes. I'll just let you guys watch this little part, and then I'll figure out when it's a good spot to come back. So I will be back soon. Hope you enjoy. And maybe you guys might want to play this game for yourselves. See, so you'll see now that the little green guys are spawning all over the place, and that's what I should have done from the start. But like I said, they didn't really tell you that, so it leaves you out and really doesn't explain that, hey, you need to break those ones with the mold to make that work. So that's kind of what threw me off initially and why I failed that first part. See, in this now, right here, this part is actually where they end up teaching you about the nutrients and the levels. And so there's three types of blocks. You got the little ones with the moss, and then there's one that's kind of speckled, kind of in between the moss and that glowy one. And the glowy one is the level 3, but depending on which one you hit, you'll get a different level of monster based off that. So that's how that mechanic works, basically, and so he's just kind of teaching you what to do here, more or less. So this was just me checking for other missions because I didn't know how many it unlocked, and by the end of this and uh, doing all of the ones that I do in this episode, it locked me out from doing anything more advanced. So I am assuming that at some point those things will come into play, um, and they'll unlock later for further training, I assume. So basically he's kind of just explaining that certain blocks have water and that you have to make it flow in the direction to make more monsters by providing nutrients to the blocks in the water. They don't explicitly say that there's two types of water right here either. So this is kind of where things actually threw me off. But the water, the way it functions, I would say it's similar to Minecraft, but like it just follows the concept of it's going to go to the lowest point. And so sometimes you got to guide the water around the right way to not hit the holy water and get it messed up, but to get the water to the blocks so that the water can sit and it can absorb nutrients. And this is what he's explaining right here, and he's like, oh, by the way, if you drop the water in there, everything will get nutrients and you can make water monsters. That's essentially what he's saying right here. Now right here I'm going to show you how this works. So you break the block, you bring it down, and basically anything that's attached that has that mold will absorb it, and then if it gets enough nutrients it will eventually produce monsters in the water from the decay, or one of them will hop off like that once it gets enough nutrients, that little white flower, and then you can tap it again, and that's how you make the monster. But you see how everything's kind of absorbing the nutrients from the water, and then making monsters from that. So this is like what I really got thrown off with the water. So you see how one's like clearer and one's not? I had to get all these dark waters at the top to flow all the way into the bottom to make the fossils revive. But like I said, right here they don't even really tell you that. And it's even funnier because literally they don't even tell you until the next mission. And so between not having that knowledge at first and having to attempt it several times, I got through it. But they don't really tell you everything, and that's really kind of irritating. So that's what threw me off here. Now this part threw me off too, because you gotta get the water away from the blocks in the middle, underneath, in the bottom. And that was kind of tricky, because you gotta, it's weird, but if you put the water one block to the right of another piece of water, then it will, as it goes down, it'll pull that water with it. So they didn't really explain that at all, and so that threw me off too. But eventually here in this next clip you'll see to where I got it to the bottom, and I finally figured out that I ran out of energy, and I was questioning why they would give me limited energy to do anything like that. And then I realized you can hit the monsters with your pickaxe when they're in the water to put more nutrients in it. So you kind of just gotta, once they grow, you don't want to do you don't want to destroy the blocks that produce those from the water, the dirty water being dropped, because first you gotta drop the clear water down, and then you can drop the dirty water down there to make them spawn. But that wasn't really clear, and I wasn't really, they didn't tell you, hey, just hit the monster with your pickaxe and you can drop more nutrients in the water. They do explain the life cycle thing, but they didn't really go into depth enough as far as, like, oh, just spam the crap out of it. So you'll see that in a second. Okay, so this is right here where I got all the monsters to start spawning. The pink flowers actually produce spores which can spread and make the mushrooms, and if you hit those, it spreads them to the blocks, and then you can make monsters that way. But really, for this mission, you just want to spam it and just keep going, because you got to make 99 in a like very short amount of time. But that's the only way that I found to do it. Well, I know it's a short episode, but that's going to do it for this one. You know what to do. Take it easy out there. Have a wonderful day and stay safe, and I'll see you in the next episode.